Welcome to Season 10 of Talking with Traders as we begin 2025. We're into the fifth year of this podcast that began in 2020, and we've just surpassed 200,000 downloads of Talking with Traders. Once again, IG have come on board as the sponsor of this podcast. We're truly grateful to have such a global leader in online trading as our sponsors. In the coming weeks, I'll be interviewing various guests from around the globe on the topic of trading. Some of these will be past guests that we welcome back to the show, and some will be new guests. The idea is to attract a broad spectrum of different perspectives from players in various areas of the markets. None of what you hear here is financial advice, but it is intended to get you thinking about how you might be able to apply what you hear here to your own trading and investing. Remember to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app. That way, you'll be notified when new episodes are released. Or if you watch these interviews on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up and leave a comment if you wish. We welcome the engagement. Once again, thank you to IG for sponsoring this podcast into its fifth year, and thank you, listeners, for your continued support. Now, let's get into this week's interview. Welcome back to another episode of Talking with Traders. And this is, in fact, the last episode of Season 10 of Talking with Traders. So on this last episode, I decided I wanted to catch up with somebody who I haven't spoken to in 2.5 years. His name is James Bruce from Ballito in South Africa. We last spoke, James, in September 2022. And I know a lot has changed in your life since then. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But last time we chatted about your trading and how it was going. I'm really keen to catch up. So welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thanks as always, Garth. It's good to be back. Yeah, a lot has changed. I must show my roots. I am living in Ballito now, but I'm originally from the Eastern Cape in South Africa. So yeah, I am in Ballito now at the moment, though.
Yeah. I remember actually you said you went to Selborne College, right?
That's right. You know someone went to Selborne College. They'll tell you.
What they tell you. It's the same as if someone does CrossFit, and I know you do CrossFit as well. I do. You told me that last time. Oh, well, it's good to have you back. I mean, last time when we spoke, you had been trading for about 2 years. You told me about your professional rugby career, that you had been signed to the Sharks. And then you unfortunately got injured and your rugby career kind of came to an end. And then you took up trading in about 2019.
Yes.
You're right. Yep. And at that stage, you were trading Forex mostly and some of the US indices. You had a bit of family money and a bit of prop funding money. You were doing quite well. I'm keen to catch up and hear about what's happened since then. I mean, I've got a list of questions, which obviously we've prepared beforehand, but just I know things have changed for you on a personal level and also on a professional level. I know you've grown significantly since we last spoke.
Yeah. I mean, a lot has changed. Firstly, I got married. As you can see, I got married in May, almost coming up on a year now. I got married on the 18th of May, 2024. To my wife, or girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, Amanda. And we actually also welcomed our first child into the world in February, 4th of February of this year, 2025. So, I mean, we literally got married and a month later she was pregnant. So we didn't waste any time, which we're very grateful and blessed for because, it's an amazing thing to be a parent. So, yeah, I mean, a lot has changed both professionally and personally. But, it's in a great, great spot of our lives. It's an amazing time.
Yeah, that's good. I know when we spoke the last time, you referenced your girlfriend, Amanda, quite a few times. I know she's got an honors in psychology, and I just got the impression that she's incredibly supportive of you and your trading and everything you do. I know that her father had funded some of the seed capital that you started with when you began trading. So it's great to hear that things have progressed so well there. And also congratulations on the marriage and congratulations on the little one. It's a little boy, right?
Correct. Yes, Beckham Robert Bruce. That's his name.
Okay, lovely. What a nice name as well. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, and are you getting some sleep?
So Amanda's actually, I'm very very blessed. So yeah, I wouldn't be the person and trader that I am without Amanda. So I'm very grateful for her, and obviously for her family as well. You know, they've always treated me as like their son from day one. So it's been amazing, and it's amazing thing, marriage and life, because I think it brings such good stability. You know, Warren Buffett, I think he said, or I know Steve Burns on Twitter often says, your best financial decisions, the person you marry, can be your best decision or your worst decision. So
Yeah.
no, she's been amazing for me and our family. So I'm getting some sleep because she's actually been she's got her honors in psychology. You're quite right. You got a good memory. She actually has been a stay-at-home mom for about 2 years now. So very, very blessed for that. And she takes over the house and does what needs to be done there.
Okay, fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's chat a bit about trading. Previously you said to me that you were trading with about $600,000 of capital at the time. Some of it was family money, some of it was prop fund money. Yeah, how's it looking at this stage? What's your capital base now?
Correct. So in January and February this year, I actually still had quite a bit of that prop firm capital. The personal capital, I'm still probably trading at about the same amount. What I do is at the end of each month, I pay myself a salary. I've figured that's the best thing to do instead of looking to grow long term. I've actually changed since the last time we've spoke. Kind of my thesis on how I see my day trading is I actually have a starting capital, so let's call it $100,000, and anything over that amount at the end of each month, I actually put into a long-term retirement account, portfolio, because inherently day trading is a lot more riskier than long-term, investing portfolio growing, at like you're looking to get your 8 to 12% a year.
Sure.
So that's what I've been doing in terms of the personal capital. But in January and February this year, I actually lost a lot of in fact, all of my prop firm capital. I went on tilt. I traded very, very poorly and I lost it. So I've been growing that back up. I had about 400,000 of that of prop firm capital at the time, and I've lost it all, and I've been building it back up. So I'm back up to about $200,000, and we'll speak about that with some of the firms, and actually had a good, had some nice pallets with them in April, and now I've got actually one with a company called FTMO actually tomorrow as well. So still trading with about the same amount of personal capital, but I don't try and grow it long term in the brokerage account. I actually funnel it into a longer term portfolio to de-risk
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And when you say you lost your prop fund capital, I mean, I think for the
Yes.
uninitiated listeners to the podcast, it doesn't mean you lost it all and it's just, lost all the money in trading. It means
No.
that I know that they're very, very stringent in terms of drawdown limits and what have you. And if you go beyond a certain daily drawdown or a certain total drawdown, they literally pull the rug out from underneath you and just whip that capital away, right? So
Correct.
so is that's what happened, right? And I mean, I really
Yes.
appreciate your honesty actually about saying that so candidly.
Yeah.
Maybe just tell us what happened because this is real.
Yeah, this is the reality of day trading. Right? I'm still quite young. I'm 26 years old. I turned 27 in August, and I think a lot of the times it's been a great learning experience, honestly, because this is not nothing new to me. We all as traders go through our highs and lows, and it's part of the process. You either got to get dust it off and get moving on, or you got to hop on it. I decided, that it's not what you achieve in your career, it's what you overcome. That's what defines your career and your success. So got to move on. And basically, how the prop firms work, and we'll get more into it, is if you lose 10% of the initial capital drawdown, you basically lose the account. And I was averaging. I had one of the accounts or that capital, one of those accounts for about 2.5 years actually, and I was averaging about 2.5 to 3% a month on that $200,000 to $400,000 of capital, which is solid trading. That's
Yeah.
what I was doing.
Sure.
But basically, what happened was Beckham was obviously coming into the world in the beginning of February. He came in and I was basically trading off my phone, trading at the hospital, stuff like that. It's just doing stupid stuff. I can't even put it any more else, put it in more simply. I was being an idiot and lost those accounts that I had actually had for quite some time. So that's what happened. And but yeah, I moved on, and that's where we're at now.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, it just talks to the level of focus that you need to have in this game, though, right? And I think that there's an interesting lesson there. A lot of people think that you can trade off your phone and that you can do this part-time. And the reality is, if you want to do it properly, it actually requires a hell of a lot of focus and background work, and you need to come into the day prepared. So it's quite understandable if you're having all of these personal things happening in your life at that stage. And I suppose, it's easy in retrospect now to look back and say, you probably should have taken that month off, right?
100%. Yeah. Everyone should be millionaires in hindsight, right? But we got to learn from our mistakes and move on. Luckily, I'm young and I got plenty of years ahead of me.
Yeah, that's it. And you said that you are in the process of now building up some prop firm capital again. So just take us through the process of what's involved to do that, because these prop funding accounts are very popular now. Sometimes they get a bit of a bad rap for various reasons.
Correct.
So just tell me, now that you're going through it again, what is the process, the challenges you have to get through and all of that to raise funding for yourself?
Sure. A lot of the put it like this, prop firms obviously are really, really new. Some companies have been around for ages. Some of them are relatively new. And it's everyone's like this. It's like a craze. Everyone's opening a prop firm nowadays. And I understand that's why sometimes it can get a bad rap. Personally, if you go with quality companies like FTMO, they've been around since 2015, right? I mean, they literally just actually purchased Owanda, the broker. I'm sure many of your users will know Owanda as a brokerage firm. They literally purchased them. So they've been around for years. It depends who you go for, I mean, in any business. But basically, what the process looks like is you need to make 10%. And then you need to, without losing 5% in a day or 10% overall. And then you need to make 5% on the second phase. And then essentially you get access to that account that you purchased. Now the accounts will range from a $25,000 account that could be, maybe $50 to a $200,000 account that could be $1,000. And you have access to get towards that capital essentially.
Right. So when you say the $1,000, that's what you pay to enter the challenge. So that's an upfront fee. That's money's gone, right? So that's your entrance to get in the door.
Correct. If you do make it to a payout, you actually get your refund back. So yes, that is your entrance into the door, and then you do get a refund back. That is how FTMO operates. Yep.
Okay. All right. So you say you need to make 10% without a 5% drawdown at any time.
A 10% drawdown. So you need to make 10% without a 10% drawdown, but you also cannot lose more than 5% in a day. Of course. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
So those are the two rules. Yep.
And is there any time limit on that?
No time limit.
Because I know in the past when we spoke last time, you were telling me about the challenges and there was a time. I think it had to do it in a month or something.
They actually have adapted. So they've actually, just like any business, they've actually adapted. There was a 30-day time period, which was actually pretty ridiculous in my opinion, looking back right now. But now there's no time limit. So there's no time limit.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. And I guess it is more responsible of them because, I mean, to expect guys to make 10% in a month, you've got to be a bit of a cowboy to do that.
Yep.
And that's probably not the kind of trader you actually want on your books in the long run.
Correct.
Okay. And all right, so then 10%, then you've got to make an additional 5% over and above that. So essentially 15% return in total.
Yes. Without losing 10% essentially.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And then you get the access to that capital to trade with. So
correct.
Effectively they will fund you 100% of that amount, right? So if you want to start playing with $100,000, you can buy in, and then and once you've passed the challenge, they'll essentially stump up that much capital so that you can actually trade with that. And then you get to pull out a percentage of the profits, right?
Yeah. So let's just say you make on $100,000. Let's just say in a month you make 2%, so $2,000. You get 80% of that profit. So that would be $1,600 on that trading period. Yep.
Okay. So is it 80%? They will give you 80% of your profits. That's amazing. 80%. It's a good deal. And it's their money. I mean, you haven't had to
their money.
Up.
A lot of people have actually asked this question, James, do they copy you to the live markets or anything like that? At the end of the day, I don't really care. As long as I've never had any issue with a firm like FTMO. I actually, about a year after we had our previous episode, I was actually I had money with a company that I had the accounts with called My Forex Funds, and the CFTC actually came to investigate them. It's actually still going on. And I lost those accounts. I'd already taken out payouts that had covered my initial fee. So it wasn't really like I lost money, but yeah, the company went away. But I think if you go with a solid company like FTMO, I mean, they've been around since 2015. I mean, they know Mickey Mouse to purchase a brokerage firm along those lines. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think if you go with a solid company, you almost guaranteed to get your payout essentially. But those are the rules, and I think personally, in the modern day and age, as a retail trader, why not? Right? You can literally not have as much money in a personal brokerage firm and actually just trade both. I trade both personal brokerage firms and with prop firms, and you can be making money from it every single month.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's their money, right? So essentially, I suppose you're not taking too much of the risk, but you
Correct.
get to participate
Except
in
the
the
initial
upside.
upfront fee.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Which is sounds like it's not a huge amount of money relative to the capital that you can be allocated.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting. But also interesting that you said about my Forex funds, because that's one of the ones that gives it a bad rap, right? So
Correct.
they went under, didn't they?
Yeah,
And
they got investigated or whatever. But there's been a few other companies that have gone under. But I mean,
yeah.
if you just for the listeners that are listening as well about these prop firms and that is I understand the concern and everything like that, particularly with the older head traders in the space on X or whatever. I definitely understand it. But I mean, if you're looking at a company and you look at someone that's got that doesn't have a professional background and they're this influencer that's just started this company, they're probably not going to last. But if you've got a professional setup, I mean, they've got offices in Prague and they got a whole team around them, and they businessmen have set them up, and they got that company's probably going to do better and outlast the company that started from some guy that is driving a Lamborghini and promising you the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And it might not be his Lamborghini. He might have rented it for the photo shoot.
Correct.
as is often the case. All right. Okay. It's very, very interesting. And in terms of what you trade now, last time
Yes.
when we spoke, you said you were trading a couple of Forex pairs and the
Yep.
NASDAQ and the Dow. Is it still the case? Have you broadened your product array?
I've actually changed. So I got into trading in August 2018, and I started trading currencies at that point in time. And I did really, really well. Had my first six-figure year in dollars in 2020, and that was during COVID, and things were moving. And essentially, what happened is the currency market, at least for how I traded, kind of has dried up. The volume has dried up, and the opportunities aren't there like they used to be. So that's why in 2022, I was actually starting to test the waters in the US indexes, US futures, right? Markets. And that's kind of all what I trade now. I actually only trade the DAX in the London session, and I trade mainly the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or the Dow in the New York session. And that's kind of what I trade right now at the moment. I made the switch to do it only that in about July last year, and it's been really, really nice. I don't have to worry about the currencies that are moving slowly. I'm trading at the open, so there's always going to be some volume. Indexes trend really, really nicely. Same as it's based off the equity market. So that's all I really trade right now at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Super. And time frame wise, I know in the past, previous time you said you looked at 15-minute charts
Yes.
with a 1-minute chart as your trigger. So very, very short-term charts. Has that stayed the same, or have your analysis techniques changed?
Still very much the same, actually. I'm looking at the 15-minute chart, maybe the hourly as well, and then using my 1-minute to 5-minute charts as my trigger at the moment. I've actually started to use a lot of VWAP in my trading. Since then, I used to use a lot of EMAs. I've actually cut out most of the EMAs right now. I know if you go and listen to the last episode that we did then, I used to use the 50 EMA as kind of like my trigger.
Yeah.
I've actually done away with the EMAs, except the 21 EMA. I like to use that for my entry kind of candle formations off of that. But I use the VWAP as well as the opening range, the opening range high and opening range low with the US markets.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And just for the listeners, a VWAP is a volume weighted average price. And certainly I've seen it being used a lot more. I mean, I've also started to use it quite a bit in my analysis because it's something that seems to be what's really gained a lot of traction within the technical analysis community and amongst traders. So it's one of those things where I think, technical analysis works because people practice it. And if they're all looking at the same indicators, then it tends to work. And the anchored VWAP, the anchored VWAP is something that I know Brian Shannon has kind of
Correct.
taken a lot of credit for that. And it's remarkable how well it does work as support and resistance. So I can
Yeah.
understand using that.
Yeah.
Right. And playbook. I mean, last time when we chatted, you had a very detailed playbook in terms of what a trade needs to look like. You had, at that stage, you said you had things called an A1, a D1, and a D2 formations. You
Correct.
explained how those all work. I mean, is there updates to the playbook now that you can tell
So
me about?
yeah, so I kind of don't really trade those as much anymore because they used to be kind of more focused on the currency side of things.
Right.
And kind of my playbook in simple again, like the strategy is never going to make the trader. It's always got this is going to make the trader. You and I can trade the same way. I can tell you exactly how I trade. I can tell the listeners exactly how I trade. I got no problem doing that.
Yeah.
It's when you hit losses or when you have losing days or whatever it is, can you bounce back and stay mentally resilient? Particularly as a discretionary trader. I'm not a systematic trader by any means. I'm very much trading based off feel and discretion. It's what I've always done best. But yeah, what basically my playbook right now is for if I'm trading a DAX or if I'm trading US markets, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. I'm trading the orb, so opening range high and low as kind of like a thesis. Which basically what the opening range is. It's the first 15 minutes high and low from that open. So for the DAX, it will be 8 a.m. GMT or UK time, 8 a.m. UK time. I know at the moment it will be 7 a.m. GMT actually. But 8 a.m. UK time to 8:15 UK time, the high and low, you can actually get the indicators to plot that for you so you don't have to draw it in.
Yeah.
And then I'm using that current sessions VWAP to look. So if we're above the orb and above the opening range high and that sessions VWAP, I'm looking for longs.
Right.
Vice versa for the shorts as well. So
Okay.
that's essentially my playbook, what I'm looking to trade on the indexes at the moment.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And I mean, in terms of frequency of trade, do you do many trades in a day, or is it still kind of last time you said you often did one or two trades per day, some days not even any trades,
Yeah.
which I was surprised about given that you look at such short-term time frame. But
Yes.
but how is that looking nowadays in terms
I
of
probably
activity?
take between 2 to 3 trades a day at the moment on
Right.
average. Yeah,
Okay.
so I wouldn't say anything more than six. Again, less is more for me right now. Like I'm not micro scalping the indexes. I know a lot of these futures guys are literally some of the guys we work with that are trading actual futures. I'm trading the CFD versions of it, so the cash index of it, the cash market. But a lot of these guys are actually like in and out for a couple of seconds. I mean, we got one guy. I mean, he literally makes $2,000 every single day. Great, phenomenal trader. But he literally is taking about 50 trades a day. I'm not on the opposite end of the spectrum. You can kind of still call it, I would still call it day trading. I don't really call it scalping because some of my trades I might hold for 40 minutes, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say on average between 2 to 3 trades a day. Whenever I go over that threshold, I've seen on my journal that I use, I personally use TradeZella. They are online journal platform that as soon as I go over that 5 to 6 mark, I start to those are lead to my losing days. I'm either trying to chase back losses or letting losses run further than they should.
Right. Okay. All right. Interesting. And risk to reward ratio. I was interested the previous time we chatted that you said you typically take 1R. So
Yes.
for the listeners, R in a trading context is the amount of risk that you take. And the thinking often goes that whatever your R is, that's the amount of money that you're willing to lose on an individual trade. And common wisdom is that you want to try and make more than what your risk is. So if you've got 1R, you want to try and make 2R or 3R in order to have effectively bigger winners than
Yeah.
losers. But you spent last time you said to me you actually grabbed the profits at 1R, but that you had a very high hit
Win
rate.
rate.
Which
Yeah.
high win rate? Your win rate was 82% last time when we spoke, which is a
Correct.
phenomenally high win rate. And of course, that makes sense because if you're taking 1R and getting it right 82% of the time and only getting it wrong 18% of the time, well, you're going to make very good money like that. How do your stats look now? Are they still like that? Is your approach still the same?
Yeah, that's so in 2022 during that I know I sent you the my stats and everything like that. I actually had a very very good period in 2022 leading up until that September. I still finished 2022 out quite strongly. But my win rate actually is it dropped down a little bit, and I would say my about in the 70s. I'm averaging in the 70s at the moment, and my risk reward ratio anywhere between about 0.7 to 1R. It can range, obviously, as a discretional trader. I'm not trading every single time for a set risk reward ratio. So when I'm trading well, we'll be closer to that 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. When I'm trading poorly, maybe around about that 0.6 to 0.7R. And if you go and put that into everyone thinks that you need to have this high risk reward ratio to make money. I'm not swing trading. Personally, I don't trade with tight stops on the indexes, so I'm not having like a 10-point stop on the Nasdaq, which I think is ridiculous. When the Nasdaq can move 10 points in a blink of an eye. But I'm not trading with tight stops, so I might trade with like a 150-point stop on the Nasdaq, and then I'll be targeting, maybe 100 points to 150 points. But if I'm getting that, I don't trade with my risk reward ratio is definitely under 1-to-1, but my win rates sometimes can be in the 80s as well. So if you go put it into an equity simulator, which is basically going to give you a positive expectancy value. Basically, for the listeners, what that is that's the actual only thing that matters in trading. Do you have a positive expectancy value? Your win rate coupled with your risk reward ratio, is it going to make money long term? If you go put in 75% win rate at a 0.7 RR, you're going to make money long term. And I think that's a big misconception in the trading community, is that everyone thinks that you need to have this 2R and 50% win rate. You don't need to. There's different ways to skin a cat, and that's kind of what I do. So I like a higher win rate. That's just who I am naturally as a trader. I prefer winning a lot more than rather taking paper cuts and then having a big winner.
Yeah. Interesting. And it's obviously that's a style of trading that you found that works for your personality. Because I know, and this is something we speak about a lot, but you need to find a style of trading that works for your personality. So that talks to quite sort of instant gratification, I guess, in a sense, that keeps the scoreboard ticking forward quickly. And you don't have to wait too long to know the outcome of a trade.
Correct.
Would you say would you say that sort of approach echoes in other areas of your life as well?
100%. I don't like being wrong. I don't like being wrong. I know who I am as a person. I've actually recently, and we'll speak about this, about routines and everything, but I've recently hired a mental performance coach. And I know for a fact that me as a person, I don't like being wrong often. And it will eat away if I do. I also subscribe to a few guys. I think there's some great traders on Twitter that are legit. One of the guys, Adam Mancini, he's a great ES trader. I subscribe to his Substack. He openly says that his risk reward ratio is definitely under 1-to-1, but he has a high win rate in the 90s. So if you can find your niche and how you want to do, who cares what anyone else is thinking? Something that I've realized in my trading is I might not be making the most money as a trader or anything like that, but I'm providing for my family and I'm putting food on the table and giving my family opportunities. That's all that really matters. And at the end of the day, and if someone says they don't like the way that I trade, well then that's cool too. I don't really care. So find your style and stick to that.
Yeah, absolutely right. You talked about routine, so let's just quickly talk about that now, since you brought it up. Because I'm interested to know what your daily routine looks like now, and I'm also interested what you said about hiring a performance coach. That's a nice development, because a lot of people don't realize trading, in a sense, it's a high performance activity, and you need a coach. You need mental coaching, just like a sportsman would, really.
Correct. So I just want to show. Look at what's behind me. Winning solves everything. The quote. And if you don't play to win, don't play at all. So I really don't like.
And then also I've noticed what's on your shirt there. Never give up.
Never give up. Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Great inspirational quotes. So tell me about your routine.
Yeah, daily routines. As I said, I've kind of shifted. Most of my trading is happening on the DAX and US markets. So I'll wake up. I don't wake up early. I'm not one of. I'll stay awake late at night looking at US markets mainly because the guys that I also trade with are all based in the States, or majority of them are. So I'm waking up at about like 7:30, going to gym from 8 to 9, and then basically coming back and looking at the European Open on the DAX charts. And this morning I actually took a loss, tried to long it, and before pre-FOMC today, what's it, the 7th of May. So took a loss this morning on it, and then I get on with my day. I'll spend time with the missus and my son, and we actually had to go get his passport done today because we're going to Hungary in July or August. So
Good.
go do admin work, that type of stuff. Maybe I'll go for coffee, lunch, whatever it is. Just spend time with the family, and then at about like 1 p.m., 2 p.m., I'll start getting ready for maybe some coaching calls that I do with clients,
Mm.
and then I'll get into the the US Open, which is at the moment is at 3:30 South African time,
Yeah.
and then I'm really trading until about kind of about this time at the moment, about 5-6 p.m. South African time, and then if I haven't really had my trade by now, I know that I'm probably chasing trades because I'd
Mm.
like to trade within that first maybe 2 to 2.5 hours of the US Open, and then maybe I've got calls later on in the evenings with some clients or doing podcasts like this or content work, whatever it is,
Yeah.
building my personal brand and sharing my trading journey because that's all it is. I'm sharing my wins, my losses, everything that
Mm.
goes into it. That's what I'm doing in the evening. And then, that's really what my day looks like.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I like that you share your approach, your wins and losses on Twitter as well. I mean, you
Yeah,
you put up a tweet earlier this week saying just looking at what your daily gains and losses have been for the month to date for May, and it's very honest and
correct.
very open, and I appreciate that you do that. And I think, well, I'm sure a lot of your followers do as well because it's very honest.
Yeah, yeah,
And the point about having a performance coach, is that a South African coach or is it a foreign coach that you're using?
sure. Yeah, well, funny story actually. I wonder if you'll listen to this. But
Yeah.
he's actually foreign. He's from Italy, but he lives in Belito. So I do
Okay.
I felt I needed. So this was the reason for this is um you asked about if I'm trading kind of like the same capital, and what happened after I lost those accounts in February is that I felt my mental game was taking a little bit of a slide again. And I want to be a trader that I want to make $1 million a year trading one day. That's my goal. I think trading is the most scalable business in the world. And basically, I want to be hitting that 250, $500,000 a year trading. That's what I want to do.
Mm.
And I felt that I needed to get someone in my corner that understands the high pressure, of putting money on the line every single day because not
Yeah.
many people do really understand that.
Mm.
So anyway, he works with high net worth individuals on their businesses and they want to level up their business. He also works with high level golfers, right?
Mm.
At the moment, and it's the same type of thing. And essentially, I'll go to my wife and I'll go to Bible study, Bible group together right on a Wednesday. So this couple walks in December and I'm like, hey, how's it, bro? How are you? No, his name's Giovanni. I'm like, okay, geez, that's clearly a foreign name, and
Mm.
his wife's name's Danny. So I'm like, okay, cool. Anyway, we meet and we go for a couple of coffees. He tells me what he does. I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting, nice. And then obviously I tell him what I do and whatever, and I'm like, he's asking me some questions. Anyway, they come over for a brother one day, and I'm asking his wife, like, so, like, where's your? Oh, well, I'm asking him, sorry, where's your wife's parents? So he
Okay.
says, no, his mom-in-law's in Belito, and his father-in-law's in India. So I said, why is he a cricketer as a joke? And he's like, yes, he is. I'm like, what, really? He's like, yeah, his name's John T. So I said, who, John? John T. Rhodes. And he's like, yeah, it's John T. Rhodes. Cheers, Bob. So he's married actually John T. Rhodes's daughter, Danny, and
Wow.
basically they're in our Bible study, and and I've hired him. So we do it in person. I felt I needed someone in person. I've tried mental performance coaches in the past, but I really did need someone in person that was able to actually, I feel like, in person, you can see eye to eye on a lot of things. You can get your message maybe a lot easier
Mm.
than over the phone or over video call. And basically been going from there because I want to scale up. I'm young, I've got lots to learn, and I want to scale up. And I know that in life, you have to spend money to make money. If I'm
Yeah.
going to spend money on this, and I see it as an investment, then perfect. And it's going to help me make, double my profits for this year, or I'll happily do that,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and you're quite right. You have to invest your money into yourself
Yeah.
in this game. It's like everything. You have to spend money to make money, and often that is exactly having coaching or getting your mental game right, etc.
Yeah, 100%.
It's brilliant. I mean, I've enjoyed this catch up, and I think we've kind of gone through most of the questions that I actually had for you in a
Sure.
lot less time than I thought it would take. One other thing I wanted to ask though is I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that you used to be a professional rugby player, that you were contracted to the Sharks when you were
Yeah.
much younger, and unfortunately you got injured. Um, are you playing rugby again, and even in a social level or touch or anything like that as an outlet?
No, I actually have not. To be honest, I don't actually miss the sport. In all honesty, it's I don't like. I thought of getting back into it, but the thought of getting injured, I was just like, it's not worth it. I actually picked up golf quite a lot. I play golf at least 2, 3, 4 times a week. I actually won our local BT Club Championships, the B Division Club Championships. So I'll take that.
Oh wow!
The trophy is actually over there. So I'll take that. And it's fun. I'm enjoying my golf. The thing I like about golf is that you can play with anyone. You can play with guys. I mean, I play with a guy regularly every Saturday that's an 8 or 9 handicap, and he's 83 years old. So I love playing my golf. It's also great for networking. I've also, something that I've since our last call is I've also actually been working a lot on like the business side of things. Not trying to trade all day every single day, but trying to grow business connections and see how other ways I can make money. Because I think one thing I will always say to guys is that say they want to get into trading and they want to trade full time. I think it's the biggest mistake anyone can do. I did it for 2 years full time. I traded as my only source of income, and it's a lot of pressure. It's kind of like trading with a gun to your head, because if you make a wrong decision, well, you're not going to put money on your table that month. So, I've been working a lot in that aspect as well. So golf, playing golf, and building business connections there as well have been something that I've taken quite fondly.
Yeah. Okay. Super. And just before we wrap up, I mean, the extended businesses, I like what you say there, and I completely agree. I think if you've got to trade for a living where every month you're dependent on whether you're profitable as a trader to put food on the table, I think that's an inordinate amount of pressure, and it's very, very difficult. And for most people, it's unachievable. And I think having some sort of a diversified revenue stream from other businesses or other interests, or I don't know, rental property or whatever. So in that context, what are you doing on a business front to try and diversify your income outside of trading?
I will say this before I answer the question. I'll say this. I actually think I don't know. I won't say it's impossible, because I'm sure there are people doing it and that make enough money to live off of. But I would say I know a very big trader in Durban, right? Inside and to the extent that he's had a year that's over 100 million rand.
Wow.
But he has never traded as his only source of income. So yes, but it's like the income that he makes. He runs his own brokerage essentially, through like RB affiliates and stuff like that. He uses that money, allows him to actually be more aggressive in his trading. It's like, okay, because he knows that he's going to put food on the table and stuff like that, or he runs his own broker, he runs anything like that. So in terms of business and that, I have my coaching. I also do a lot of work for Edgefill, which is basically a data company in the trading space, and I think they're great because they're giving traders basically the back tested data of reports and stuff that they're looking for. And then obviously I do my live streaming as well. So there's different avenues of me making money that actually at the end of the month I can say, listen, if I make X amount of dollars trading this month, I still am going to put food on my table and cover the bills. And I think everybody should do that. As I said, I know a lot of big traders, not only overseas, but a couple of really, really big traders here in South Africa, and they're only trading as their only source of income is just not a real thing. They have multiple diverse ways of making money. I think that allows them, and for myself as well, because I've experienced it, to make a lot more sound decisions on the trading desk.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. Yeah, super. All right, James. Well, it's been a great catch up, I must say. I've been looking forward to speaking to you, and I was excited to make this the last episode of our season 10 of Talking with Traders, to catch up with you, because it's been 2.5 years, and it's been superb to catch up again. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for your honesty as well. And for the energy that you bring to the podcast. It's always infectious. and all the best, man. Thanks once again.
No, thanks for having me, Garth. I always appreciate it. And I hope that the listeners took away something from today's episode.
I'm sure they did. Thanks, James. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Talking with Traders, sponsored by IG, a world-leading CFD provider. We really are privileged to have such a strong global provider of online trading services as our backer for this podcast series. Remember to subscribe for more episodes by clicking on the subscribe button of your favorite podcast app, Or if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment. We welcome the engagement. Till next time.